All right, everyone. Thanks for joining for this conversation with Mike from Avian Lab. I'm a very proud early investor in Avian. They're making an awesome app called Sling that does cross-border payments using stables and crypto. Mike, I've known for ages and ages, originally from New York, where he ran a company called Blip TV. I went to a party at his house and moved into the same building because it was just awesome. We were good friends in New York. I then convinced him to come out and work with me at Facebook for a while, which was super fun, where he did some amazing work, ended up working heavily on the modernization of Facebook ads back in the day, many years ago. He then went on back to Europe, did amazing work in the financial sector at Deliveroo, running a bunch of some of the Europe's most successful companies, and then spun out to go after this opportunity. Mike Hudack, great to see you, man. Been a long time.
Great to see you too.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. How are you?
It's great to see you. I always miss you. So look, we're here. We're doing these founder chats, talking about bullshit with people we think are smart. And, obviously you've had quite a journey in the tech world through lots of stuff, but you're currently working on one of my favorite areas, which is the intersection of effectively crypto and Venmo 2.0. How do you pay people easily, seamlessly, no bullshit cross-border? And I'm just honestly I would love to just kind of hear a little bit about your most recent journey and the concepts of journeys. What's working in crypto? What's not? How are you feeling about the world? Give me the shtick.
Oh my God. Well, look, I think that I think blockchains and stablecoins, forget everything else for a moment, are a transformational technology that truly digitize, truly bring money onto the internet for the first time. Before, money is kind of locked away in these incompatible databases. They're kind of behind proprietary APIs. Now everything is out there. The challenge now is to bridge that new internet of money with the old world of money, build really good on and off ramps until the on and off ramps aren't needed anymore. This is and to build a really great user experience around that. And so that's what we're doing. I think ultimately, everything is just going to be built on a blockchain, and we're not going to think about it anymore. And at that point, we'll stop talking about international money transfer or international payments or even different stock exchanges. Just everything will be out there and it'll be fine. Just that's going to take a decade of really hard work from a bunch of people.
Yeah. So talk about the hard work. I mean, this is my thing. You and I both been around this now for too long, right? And it's one of these classic, easy to say, hard to do problems, right? Where it's I could basically put on a repeat the conversations about global payments, stables, maybe not stables as much because there's this whole early era where it was well, things will be just denominated in Bitcoin, and people people need to think of things that's not quite right, but it's
that might still happen, by the way, but not yet. It may be that stablecoins are just a transitional technology and then we'll all denominate everything in Bitcoin or something else. That's actually still possible, I think, but that's not where you start.
Fair. So this actually speaks to my point, right? Which is in some ways I always joke that it's kind of easy to tell the yada yada science fiction story of how things can work, right? And then it's you see a foundational technology like Bitcoin in '09 or whatever it is, and you're oh my God, we can do future. But there's a lot of stuff in the middle, right? And there's the stuff of regulatory and things like that, which is always very complicated. I mean, I think if you think of the internet in early crypto, there was a real benefit and they kind of skipped it. You know what I mean? They were just let's not deal with that complexity. Then there's the stuff that I think you guys have been executing on top of everything so well on, which is the experience actually has to work. It actually has to be good. And that, I mean, so many people have tried some version of this and failed. Sling seems like it's working really well. And it seems like you've really nailed the experience. Can you talk to me a little bit about what that's been like, the iterations on that, how you do that?
So Sling, we're building a global Venmo, right? So you can send money to anyone in the world. The app is available in 140 countries, and we have fiat on and off ramps in 75 so far. We're building out another 5 or 6 now. It is really hard, is the answer. It's super difficult. The regulatory stuff for a footprint like that is really hard. And then payments is a game of exceptions and edge cases. And what we've learned is you just need to have volume in order to find all of the things that break so that you can fix them, so that you can build a really great, really reliable product. And it is absolutely just brute force work, one foot in front of the other, measuring your payment success rate, and measuring, all of these things and just iteratively making it better, half a point at a time. And there's there's a beautiful interface that you designed once, which you're like, oh, this is great, and then like if it doesn't work every time,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
So I'd love to get into like your mentality on this. 'Cause I think one of the things I always think is really interesting spending time with entrepreneurs is you kind of have to be motivated to care about so many things to get this right. Like there are the
Yeah,
people who are like, I only care about design, right? And they're like, we're gonna build some
yeah,
beautiful interface, but they're not gonna have the patience for the exception handling. They're not gonna have the patience for like the regulatory shit, right? And then other people are like, I'm into the regulatory shit, but I don't care enough about interface. Like again, I've known you through many startups and phases, and I guess I'm actually kind of curious on a personal level, like how you motivate to care
through
about
all
such
of
a
those.
breadth of things, right? Where
Yeah.
like you can care about the design and care about some stupid podunk republic that doesn't take whatever.
I had a great compliance and fin crime organizational design conversation today, along with a new product pricing conversation, along with new design on our like contact import and invite flow. The variety is beautiful. It's really beautiful. And I actually think that for me, if I only did one of those things, I would find it boring. If I rotate too much into any of those things, I find it frustrating. So if I spend a week or two where all I'm thinking about is, we recently got licensed in the Netherlands for Europe and by the AFM, and they're actually wonderful regulators.
Yeah, they seem like that'd be pretty good.
They're great.
I gotta
They're
say,
great.
I've flown through the Netherlands twice in the last like 6 weeks. I'm into it. I've only seen the airport, but it's great.
No, they're wonderful. But if you spend 2 weeks exclusively thinking about that, I mean, honestly, shoot me. I need the other stuff, which is also fun. But the puzzle of like how you build a thing like this in a way that the AFM appreciates, I think is like a deeply interesting intellectual puzzle. And if it's not the only thing, if you don't also have to do all of the other things, and that's the thing. I mean, we have a wonderful head of compliance in the Netherlands who handles a lot of that work, you
Yeah.
know.
But it ultimately does. I mean, I guess I'm kind of curious. Like again, there are different modes of founders, right? There's like the
Yeah.
23-year-old who's like completely like obsessive 2 in the morning on whatever, right? Like I wouldn't call you old, but you're my generation. Like you've seen a few things. You've seen a
Yeah.
few things in a few industries. And I guess the
Yeah.
question for me is like, do you think that like you mature into that breath or like being able to manage like how like just talking about the because it's something I think a lot about. I think it's relevant not just in crypto but the age of quote unquote AI and everything else where it's just like it's you have to care about more things it feels
Well, it's
like.
also, yeah. I mean, for sure, there's like a breadth of experience. So I've been really lucky to work in like, I don't know, digital media, social media, advertising, like banking, food delivery, all of those things. And like in many ways, Sling is like it's a culmination of all of those things. I've got like, I can apply everything that I learned like working at Facebook about how social networks work and everything that I learned working at Monzo about how regulators work, and I can put them together, and that and how money works, and that's pretty fucking cool. Like, and you get that as a result of being older. I
Yeah.
think you do lose, like, I can't be in the office until 2 a.m. all the time anymore because, like, I've got 3 kids, I've got a wife, and like, I need to get home.
Well, and it's
So you
also
do
like
trade those things off.
you also I think is that I mean the other way I frame it though which is it's also like you're old enough to have a broader perspective and care about other things, which is why I find this kind of interest. It's like this question of like you do need to obsessively care about like the Sling interface, right? Like, and it is really good by the way, right? You do need
Thank
to
you.
obsessively care about like landing. It's not like so there's this weird balance of you need to be obsessive, but the normal route to obsessiveness is literally just like when you're a kid, you're 23, and you get some idea loop stuck in your head, and you just work on it forever, right? Like it's literally like you get caught in like an infinite loop of caring about this
Yeah.
button, right? And like I felt that. I know you felt that at points in your career now. Like once you have more things going on in a richer life, it's very hard to get caught in the loops the same way, but you still need to kind of deliver
I
the
get
out.
caught in the loop. I get caught in the
You
loop.
get caught
I
in the
mean, my
loop, but
kids
like what?
bring me out of it, but I get
Yeah,
caught in the loop. You got to
yeah.
get caught in the loop.
You got
You
to get
can't do
caught in the
anything
loop.
like it. You
But then,
got to
like,
be
what
caught in the
happens
loop.
when it's like 10 p.m. and you're caught in the button loop and you're like, I just need to go home. Like, I need to see my family.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the thing that I've also learned is I need to go to sleep at a reasonable hour and I need to like exercise every day and I need to eat well. And maybe I didn't need those things when I was 20, or maybe I did and I didn't know it. I don't know. But I think that doing those things is very important to me too. So I need to have the discipline to do that stuff and go out and play catch with Marla, after school and like all that kind of stuff. It's important.
Yeah. I get it. It's just an interesting balancing act in life.
It's hard.
All right. So back to crypto. So like we could talk about this stuff forever, but on the crypto front, it's like where are we? Like it seems like the new meme in crypto. First of all, crypto's ripping as of whatever it is, May 16th, 2025. So everyone's excited about it again. You know, I called some of our crypto lawyers recently. They're like, "We're busy." And I'm like, "Great." But I guess my question for you is like, and I know you now that stables have become like, at least in the VC world, in a lot of places, like literally a meme, right? Where like it's just like everyone's long stables and local stables and blah 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 blah. Like, where are like when you think about the hard problems that really need to be solved, right? And where we are on the science fiction thematic and like technology to like this is actually just what people use. Like where I don't know, what's your read on where we are?
I think that for us now, for Sling, it's an execution game. Like a lot of 3 years ago, a lot of this stuff was like uncertain. We didn't know how to do certain things, how regulators would respond. That shit is done.
Yeah.
And now it is an execution game. It's a very hard execution game, but it's an execution game. I increasingly think that a lot of this stuff is like inevitable, absent like some other political or regulatory shock.
Yeah. And so from that perspective, do you think it's inevitable in that it just gets subsumed into the ether and people like, it really is just like, do you think people are going to, like, it's inevitable and that people are going to be like, I like stables, or it's just like, no, all the infrastructure works and I don't care about stables and I don't care about crypto.
Well, you'll use, like, people won't think about stables or crypto. The outcome will be that if you live in Uganda, you can get paid by anyone in the world for performing a service.
Yeah.
And you can pay anyone in the world to perform a service. And that is like absolutely transformational for somebody who is otherwise in an economy which is like inaccessible, you know? And you will also be able to buy Apple stock or Tesla stock or whatever meme stock is out there. And you just will be able to participate in that market. You could be on the moon and you can do this, you know? That's really a big deal for a lot of people.
Well, here, but let me push you on that because I totally get like the story of access to stables globally is access to USD for a lot of people who don't have access to it right now. It's like just a sort of that. That's a big deal for those people, right? And like, or access to buying Apple stock in theory, not too far in the future. Like, if that all plays out, I get that story. Here's my question on the I want to pay someone in Uganda, right? Is do I really want to pay someone in Uganda? Like,
well, no. The question is whether or not the person in Uganda
has anything to trade with me. I mean,
that?
Sorry, go answer your thing, and then I'll ask my annoying
question.
Well,
no. So, like, I think that the different way of thinking about this is how many people are there in the world who have incredibly valuable things to offer to the world who can't get paid for it.
Yeah. Well, and this is almost my question back to you, and like maybe we can bullshit on this more some other time, but it's what I've been thinking about recently. It's like you think about all these things, you think about the top down, the technology, the like thematic, like, oh, we obviously lighting up 8 billion nodes of payments should make, you think about this stuff abstractly, and then you think about it practically being like, who do I want to pay in Uganda, right? And like, look, there are obviously remittance markets, like that's a big thing, like I'm not saying there isn't. Obviously, I understand why they want to buy Tesla stock or whatever. Like, I get that. But I'm like, Sam Lessin, like, what do I get from something? And the interesting thing I worry about / think about is, especially as the world gets more, protectionist and regionalized and fractionalized. Yeah. And all of a sudden, like, AI really is going to do, like, the low-end human intelligence tasks enough and things like that. It's like, I'm actually going back to, like, what am I paying someone in Uganda for? Like, is that actually a thing? Or is it kind of like, yeah, when I Venmo my barber a tip, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, it actually matters less. So I'm kind of curious.
So I think that there are a couple of different ways of thinking about this. So there are, like, multiple futures. You put yourself 10 or 20 years in the future, right? And you have... a couple questions. So the world is becoming more economically protectionist. It's very, very easy to slap tariffs on a physical good which comes into the port of Los Angeles.
Absolutely.
Super easy, you know? Customs inspector comes along.
Actually, kind of hard, but I get the point.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, relatively speaking. It's really hard to control a service which is provided on the internet.
100%. 100%.
And the thing that has happened let me give a very specific example that, with online video, right? So like 20 years ago, the world was just one where, you had broadcast television, you had cable television. This guy Josh Harris created Pseudo or whatever, broadcasting 12 channels of live television from Broadway and Houston. And you saw that and you were like, this is definitely the future. This is definitely going to happen. And then people were like, oh, but I don't know, what's all the shit I'm going to watch? And then we get Lazy Sunday and then we get all this stuff. And now we live in this world where even my cable box is all IPTV and it has 1,000 apps on it,
Yeah.
I think this is what happens when these goods become truly digital and truly limitless. And there are an infinite number of services and goods that can be exchanged digitally, which are hard to police. And, we can discuss whether or not it's even desirable to police them or not to police them, but that can be exchanged on the internet. Right now, it's just really hard to pay for them.
Yeah. I get the vision. I still want to figure out what I'm buying from someone in Uganda, especially in a world where I'm not buying low-end intelligence tasks from them. Remember Amazon?
Give me an example of a low-end intelligence task.
Well, you used to think about Crowdflower or a mechanical turkey type stuff where you're just all right, just take this text file and transform it.
Clickworker.
Or Clickworker type stuff. That I get, and that is a very low margin market, but is globalized and require But the second you're the super low end stuff gets abstracted away. I don't really need to buy farms of people to do stuff. We
have a customer service rep in Colombia who I just had an amazing conversation with, who's doing an amazing job helping us build this product and does an amazing job doing CS, despite us having an AI system which deflects now, or deflect is the wrong word, handles 80% of our incoming customer service.
Yeah. I get it. Listen, I know you have a hard stop. I appreciate you taking a few minutes to discuss with me. I miss you. Let's hang out. I'll be in Europe later. Maybe I'll convince you to meet me in Paris or something because we're international people. But happy birthday.
Thank you. Good to see you, man.
Congrats on everything. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. This is the general outro where we say, comment, feedback, share, send us notes. We don't care if you disagree with us. Peace.